One minute you've got extra cash, the next minute your dog eats something questionable, or your fridge quits without warning. In real life, time freedom is not something you wait for, it is something you start building. I'm Candice, and welcome to the Money Flow Genie Podcast. So let's stop talking about it and start building. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Money Flow Genie Podcast. I want to talk to you today about something that I discovered as I've been sharing my experiences with the pursuit of money. You know, what that means, how those decisions come about. And for me, I have found that one, I don't have all the answers. The other aspect of it is that, you hear all of this stuff about mindset and these overused terminologies that are very vague. People tell you to come and work with them and they'll show you how to do it. But everything is all individualized, I've found. One of the things that I have noticed is that the more I try to teach what I know about what I've been learning, is the more that I am aware of just how my brain works and how that influences my decisions, even though I had no idea that that would affect the way that money would come, flow, be handled in my house, and flow back out. So I came back from the beach on the dog walk this morning, and I was thinking about money has dictated my life and the effects of inflation. We're in a new year. Everyone is talking about having vision boards and manifesting money and doing your the law of abundance. And yes, all of this stuff is really, really important. Yet, does this all take in account what's really happening on outside circumstances that we can't control? So, first, I want to talk a little bit about just inflation and what that is. That is, we all feel it. Every time you turn around, for instance, the biggest pain point right now is order groceries, go to the checkout. Holy cow. I mean, I feel like my grandmother. I can't imagine feeding a family, particularly growing children that just devour everything in seconds. It is unbelievable the cost of food right now. That is the effects of inflation. Inflation, we have no control over, none whatsoever. Because of that, and it's not going to go away. Inflation doesn't go away. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into politics. It doesn't matter who's in office. Inflation is what feeds government money. Now, I can get into a whole nother podcast about that. It's very complicated, and I will do one because I think it's really important to people understand that because we can get really mad and we can put blame on anything and everything as to why money's not in our household. And yeah, I'm right there with you on that. So don't get me wrong. I just had to put in a brand new oil tank in my house, not because my old tank was broken, it's because the insurance company would not renew it until I did. That is an expense that I wasn't really planning on. Sure, I have expenses that I have by owning a house that I need to maintain and I need to set money aside. But I didn't want to spend my money on that. And I had feelings about that. But I had to do it or I'd lose my insurance. And yes, I could have tried to go to another company, but the problem was I am in an area on the coast and we have only a certain number of insurance providers. So I was trapped. So that was also kind of making me upset about that. So now let's bring all this whole personal experience. What does that have to do with money flow? That was a big eye opener to me as to how I think about making my decisions for my money and how much I was allowing money to rule my life. And it's really hard when groceries are so expensive, daily expenses to just be. it's really hard not to see money as this big, powerful being that rules our life because we are so dependent upon it to be in this world and operate. I'll tell you a quick, tiny story that kind of got me thinking a little bit differently about money. And that was I used to work for I used to work for a company that made artificial trees and rocks for zoos. And that's what I did before while I was putting myself through graduate school. Really cool job. And I was working at the Central Park Zoo at the time. And this gentleman came to work. He was very sweet, not very talkative, but when he was very pleasant and very happy. So every day at lunch or sometimes after work, would walk through, it's right there, Central Park. I'd walk through Central Park because I'm such a nature person. And he would be sitting on the bench. And I thought, wow, look at him. He takes the time every day to go sit on the bench and just be in nature. Well, one day I happened to be walking by and I was with another colleague that I worked with. And as we walked by, we said hello to the gentleman and he was very cordial. And he turned and the other worker that was with me turned to me and said, you know, that's his house. And I said, what? He said, that's his house. And I didn't understand what you mean. He said, he's homeless. Now, this man was making a considerable amount of money and he lived and he showed up to work. He lived in Central Park. That was his home. Now, I don't know his story. All I know is that he was one of the happiest men that I've ever worked with on that job. Well, if you think about being homeless, there are a lot of stressors to it. But when you think about it as well, there's not that much responsibility to it either. But yes, there is. So the point of me telling you that is it doesn't matter whether you're homeless or whether you have a roof over your head, you still have obligations. So quickly, just to touch on that man that was homeless, there's a lot of stressors, probably a lot of violence at night, uh, not being bitten by, bugs, things that would, could give you serious illness, being robbed, having no protection from the rain. I mean, those are some stressors. For me, that's like, whew, I'd rather have the stress of not even, well, chasing money. It feels like that sometimes. For me, I choose that over being homeless. But that's my choice. There's no judgment on that man because there are some luxuries to what he's doing, whether he's there or not. This is many years ago. It's appealing, and if you look at some of the situations right now that people are in, some of the generations, I think it's the millenniums, is it? I'm sorry, I don't get them all correct. You know, they're like nomads. They don't want to be tied down. I mean, there's pros and cons to any which way that you choose to live. But the whole point of it all is that our choices are what make our financial decisions for us. It sounds really simple, but it's not. And those choices are usually made by the way in which we grow up, whether it's in a high stress, dysfunctional family, whether it's in a family that's a happy family, but they never talk about money. I mean, we could go on, and that's what makes it so individualized. So you can take a course to teach you about mindset and learn all of your sayings that you learned in your funny, like money is the root of all evil, or money is filthy. Get that out of your mouth. You know, we have an attachment with money as if it's a living creature. It's not a living creature. It's a tool, like a wrench that's in a toolbox. It is an energetic exchange when we use it. And that's what gives it this stronger identity. And unfortunately, it's something that is required to have, for the most part, to live in society. So it's part of us because we really do need it. All right, so with all of that being said, we all know. So what are we searching for? We are all searching for something when it comes to money, when it comes to anything. So let's take money out of the picture just to think about what is it that we're all searching for. Well, you could simply say a couch potato, somebody that just sits on the couch watching TV, they're searching through channels. So they're still searching. Someone like me, I'm always searching and I'm thirsty for more information to improve myself, to improve my situation, to be better at who I am with what I have in each day. And this is the type of distinguishing of our behaviors where we have to only compare ourselves to ourselves because everybody, dependent upon their individual circumstances, this is where you're going to be choosing who you are and how you operate in the world. There's no judgment, by the way, between a couch potato and me. There's pros and cons to both. I don't rest. I got to work on that. Couch potato people, boy, they can rest. I could learn something from them. So you don't always want to shoot the people that maybe that you would judge because they probably have a message that you could use. So I just wanted to throw that out there and not sound like it was judgmental, because I certainly could use some teaching of sitting back and just chilling out, but I don't. At the same time, there's nothing wrong with that either. So, what I'm getting to in this podcast is that I'm not going to assume anything about you. All I'm going to assume is that you're searching for a better future. If you're listening to this podcast, if you even looked for it, you're searching for something today. And I want to share with you practical ways that you can find for yourself based on who you are. Now, the first suggestion I have in all of this is what I learned this morning getting back to my walk on the beach is that by knowing who I am, my personality, how I operate in the world, helps me determine why the businesses have chosen to engage in, why they're successful for me. It's because of who I am and how they operate and how I fit in that operation. Every business has some type of system to it. So my first original income producing business, which I still have, is a landscaping business. It provides a service. It's an isolating business for the most part. I'm in nature. Oh, I adore that. Absolutely adore that. It feeds my soul. I can do it without even thinking, not because the job requires no thought, not at all. It is a meditative source of work for me. And in fact, when you think about it, most people, not everybody, but most people do like to garden because of instant gratification. Boy, you get that. If you do a good job at what you're doing, you can get instant gratification, which just feeds the soul so much. But also the part of it, it's just connecting with nature, which I find to be something that really grounds me. May not be for everyone, but I'm just using this as an example. I can only share my own personal experience. The other part of that why it feeds my soul, I'm a creator. I'm an artist. As an artist, I can see the big picture. I can look at something and see a new vision of it. I can visually see that in my head, and then I build it because I'm a sculptor. And that's why landscaping is fantastic for me because I'm sculpting the land. I'm doing installations every day, feeding the artistic abilities within me that feed my soul. Makes me so happy. And that's why it thrives. That's why my business thrives, because I love it. I wake up in the morning, I don't dread, "Oh, I have to go landscaping today." Those are times that, yeah, I have to do paperwork. There's something with every business that no one likes. But let me tell you, if you want to bring money into your home faster, it is by having a business, owning a business, not working for one. Puts you in a different tax bracket. You have different write-offs. Across the board, the government is set up to encourage people to have businesses. So if you want to make more money, you want to have a business, own the business, because then you have control. And that's what we really are looking for. Control. Control so we can control our time, so we can have more time, so we can have more freedom. And if we have control of a business, then we can choose ways that maybe we can actually produce more income, have more income, expand the business, sell the business. There's lots of variables. But when you're working for someone else, all you can do is ask for a raise, but you're still in the same tax bracket. You don't get to write off anything as an operating expense. Maybe mileage on your car, that's really not much. So if you really are looking for something that is going to be long term to increase your cash flow, I would suggest starting up another business. And you can start up a side business without leaving your W-2 job. You love your W-2 job. It's not giving you enough. You can still build up another business. So here is where this podcast will come into play to help you save time if you are thinking about it. And the reason I was thinking about this, because I was thinking about the amount of time and money that I have spent in mentorship programs to find out later, after I get into it, this is not for me. And part of it is because I didn't know and fully understand who I was as a personality and how my brain works in regards to working with others to then therefore create a team to be successful. Or as a creator, I don't know if you've ever been in a room with two creators. We'll have big ideas, and if those ideas don't complement one another, we'll be competing to see whose idea gets chosen or walk away. And that's not ego. That's just we're creators. We want to have the design. We want to have that control. It's not about ego. It's about who we are and what is passionate to us. Now, take me as a creator and put me, let's just use like a factory. If you put me on an assembly line in the very beginning in particular, I am going to mess up that entire business because whatever product is coming through that I'm supposed to be taking and inspecting and maybe doing one part and sticking it back into the assembly line to move forward, I would be a nightmare. Everyone would hate me. You want me out of there quickly because I'll be picking up every single piece going, oh, wow, look at the reflection on this one. Meanwhile, the belt is going down and there's no pieces going on it. I would be a nightmare for that. I would not choose that. Now, I can tell you right now, I have paid for mentorship programs that basically kind of put me in that role, and I wasn't aware of that. What are those? Being someone that could do drop shipping online. You're running a business where you're just dropping items. You're taking other people's products and you're putting them for sale. There's no creativity in that other than how can I get the marketing out there more? Example of what I mean by dropship, if people don't understand what I'm saying with that. Amazon is the most successful dropship business. That's all they do. They take other people's products, they sell them online, and why it's called drop shipping is because they drop it in the mail and it comes to your door. Sounds like a great plan. Look at Amazon. My gosh, they're so successful. Not for me. Not for me. So this is what my suggestion to do before you start a business. Don't look at it for the dollar amount because we can get so caught up in what someone is saying on what it's going to bring to you. And I will tell you that if you don't align with the way the business runs and the structures, or put yourself in the position that feeds your soul, you will burn out. You will not put your amount of time and effort into it. You'll wake up in the morning wishing that you didn't have it and just wanting to die around it. That's not going to be a successful business. It'll be self-sabotaging. So one of the suggestions that I have is, and I want to say there's no affiliation to these links at all. I'm just here because I want to pay it forward. I want to help you not make some of the mistakes that I have made so that you could move faster in choosing the right business and then dive right into that. So take one of these online tests. It's like Genius U. Tony Robbins has what's called a DISC test. And that is, it's a personality test. And all they do is they ask you questions repeatedly in different ways that seem so stupid, I have to say, when I was taking it, going, and I kept wondering, how is this going to determine what kind of person I am? Well, that was right there. One of the questions, clearly, that wasn't maybe perhaps an assembly line question, but they ask these in so many different ways, and it seems like they're repeating themselves. They're multiple choice. They're really easy to do, other than sometimes it's like chewing on glass if you're a creator like me. The point of it is it comes back and it tells you who you are as a personality in your personality, how you operate, what you thrive doing, even when you're not sure. And remember, you are not pegged into one hole. We are like, I am a creator with an engineering mind, which is great because I can be on the number side as well. I I can do very well on the number side. Not my highest quality to really be on the team is in the creator, brainstorming, masterminding, seeing the big picture. I'm there. But if it comes to maybe putting all the pieces together, organizing, getting all of that in order and the steps that it needs to go, wrong position for me because I'll get three times, maybe 3 or 4 days into that, and I already see a big picture where this can go. I'm already creating another big business plan. So, what's really good for me is to have somebody that helps organize and do the one, two, three, four, then five, not one, two, three, four, Z, because that's where I'll go. That's really important information to know because by knowing that now, I know that if I'm choosing to be in a business, I need someone that is methodical, that will keep me on track. Then I do that. I get that person. I have hired a VA to help me do that with certain things that I am all over the map, but you have to do things in a certain way. So in order for my business to be successful, I hire someone to edit my videos for me and get them online systematically. Don't ask me to do that because I get distracted by all the little bells and whistles and what's next AI tools coming out on the video thing. Forget about it. It's not good for me. So once you know that, now let's take that back. How does this apply? Then look at the businesses that you're interested in. And those are the ones, what position can I be in this business that interests me that I can really excel, that will make this business grow? What team members will I need to bring in? All right. So let me give you a really big example for me that was a big learning curve. Because, if you've listened to this before, I talk about real estate a lot because I love real estate. I just totally love real estate and predominantly because it's something tangible. Again, tactile. I'm an artist, tactile. So I love to have something that I can hold in my hands and say, I have invested in this. Stock market, it's too abstract. My brain doesn't do well with it. I do a tiny bit of investing in that, but it's not the core for me. I need to be able to have something tangible, something I understand. I can focus in many aspects of real estate on that. There's many things underneath the umbrella of real estate in order to build my wealth. And that is what I found it has worked for me. So that's what I've chosen. So let me tell you how using real estate as an example for me as to how I wished I'd understood this personality test and had taken it and how to apply it before I moved forward in real estate. So, as you know, there's lots of podcasts out there, and there are some really good podcasts, and there are some really good mentors out there. You have to do your due diligence on it. But let me tell you something. I learned a really big lesson, and that is I am a creator. I need to be on the team that makes decisions. So what happens? I'm in real estate. I was doing single family. I was on my own. I was the boss. Perfect spot. There you go. Creator, go, 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 go. Now, I'm listening to podcasts and I am learning that if I want to scale, which I did, multifamily is the way to go. Well, that made total sense. The numbers made sense. Everything about multifamily makes sense. All of it does. Nothing wrong with multifamily, except the following for me. I'm a creator. I come in new to multifamily. Let me tell you what multifamily I went for because I don't start small. I'm a creator. I go, where is the biggest amount of effort for what I'm going to be using my money for? That's where I'm going to go. I'm not going to go small and then build up. I'm a creator. I don't think that way. That's not how I operate. So I went for the large multifamily units, 100 doors and up, bigger units where it's a team involved. Okay, no problem. Had a landscaping business for 33 years. I have employees. I have worked with clientele, most of the same clientele for 33 years. So what does that say? I can work with teams. Yes. What I did not realize, and this is something that would have been really important to know about my personality to then ask this question before I signed up. Now, let me just preface this. I do not regret signing up and doing the programs. I signed up for one that I feel like I got over delivered with information. I learned so much and it definitely was an asset. But I had to pivot back, not pivot back to single family. Not because I couldn't do multifamily, not because of the market, not because I failed, because for me, I wanted to stay true to my heart, and it was like chewing on glass. And I'll tell you why. As a creator, I entered multifamily. It's like entering corporate. Yes, even though a group of us create an LLC and we become the team, and we are a corporation, and we are purchasing with investors through a syndication other people's money, putting large amounts of money together to buy these multi-million dollar properties and manage them. Fantastic. I know how to do that. That's not a problem. Where's the problem then? The problem is in order to sign a loan on something like that, you have to have experience, you have to have liquidity, at least 10% of what the asset that you're signing. So I am just small coming into this large dollar business. So my position is not going to be signing the loan. No, the banks are like, I would be actually a mark against the team. When you come into something like this, you don't just dive in with new people and go, hey, let's do this. No, I have a responsibility to my investors and the money that I'm bringing in to invest in the deal. I need to give that responsibility over to the experienced team members, people that have been in it for 15, 20 years. Ouch to my personality. Big ouch, because I had to become the fly on the wall. I could attend, of course. I did menial tasks. I did assembly line tasks. That's all I did. I was put in the position of the assembly line as a creator. No, I had to stay there. I had no choice. And I stuck through my business plan. And I'm still in the business plan. But I decided I don't want to continue to put my effort into this because it's going to take a very long time for me to be able to be in the position that feeds my soul. But what fed my soul with real estate? It was helping people. It was being there, showing them that you do not have to have, hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank in order to move forward in real estate. I bought a $500,000 house with $10 down. Yes, I did. It happens. It was a lot of work to make that happen, but I did it. And it was successful business plan all the way to the end. So that was thrilling to me. I was in control of that. I made it happen. Do you hear the big word I? Not that I was the only person, I was in control. And that is where, if I had known, I would not have spent the money on the multifamily mentorship. Yeah, it was a decent amount of money. Granted, since I knew that I don't need to be motivated to do something, I opted for group coaching, which was significantly cheaper. So I got a lot for my money. But I have to say, that could have been a nice little down payment for some of the properties I'm buying now. In fact, with some of them, it would have been half the cost of the properties I'm buying now. So I want to share that experience because if I had known who I am, I may not necessarily have made that decision for that particular mentorship program. I probably would have chosen something else that would have gotten me further on in the finance arena, focusing on being the bank, being the lender, being a private money lender, those types of mentorship programs. So time sort of not lost. Hindsight's always 2020. We can't beat ourselves up for that. But if I had known that before signing up, I think I may not have gone in that direction. It only took me, I think it was about 3 years into it, because I kept thinking, oh, it's the market, I'm looking at other things. But I realized as I kept doing personal development, oh, it's not anything to do with this, it's me. Whenever something is bothering me, I've learned faster now to look at what is the common denominator, and which is usually me, and what about this is making me think in a different way. So it can bog you up. It can make you unhappy, and that's not the point of making money. Money does not bring happiness. Money brings the opportunity and the peace of mind, which then can result in happiness. Money does not bring happiness, okay? It really doesn't. And it's hard when you're in a financial bind to say, yes, it does. I wouldn't feel this way. Shut up. Listen, it's, we just have to look at ourselves first. And this is where I'm going to swing it back around. What really matters is how you feel. And so when we hear the words mindset, law of attraction, we have to think about our thoughts, but sometimes we don't know what we're thinking is what direction is that going? Like, so I'm having these thoughts, now what? So I'm going to give you a little tip, and I'm going to make sure in the show notes and well, it's really going to be on the resources page. I am just learning just how valuable the artificial intelligence, and I'm just going to use ChatGPT because that's what I know. I know there's also a free version with Gemini on the Chrome version, and probably by the time this podcast is out, there's probably going to be 50 million more. I'm not endorsing any of them. I'm just going to tell you what I do know is that at 61 years old, I am learning how to put prompts into artificial intelligence. And why is that important in understanding who I am? It's important because artificial intelligence is not, it's a robot basically, but it's a generator. It studies patterns and it can see a pattern when I'm talking to it, just doing my basic usual business, rewrite this email, just your basic stuff that we use it for, that it has so many more capabilities. And by just using that, I can ask it, from what you know about me, this is what I want to do. Are there any behaviors that you see me doing or not doing that are getting in my way. And you would be amazed at what it will come up with. I am not saying that AI is a therapist. It is a pattern recognition tool. And what we need to see is patterns in our lives to say, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't understand that. And then with that, if we need to do a deeper dive, then take it to a therapist. But you would be amazed at what you can get to just get an aha moment that can pivot how you see something, how you look at money, how you look at how you're pursuing money, and how your childhood behaviors have been brought all the way through. And me at 61, holy cow, I had no idea some of the behaviors. So I'm going to share with this in this podcast and end, know who you are in the simple personality test. Then you will be able to understand and pivot in the world to make better choices around income producing activities, whether that's passive income, whether that's making a business, or whether that's choosing a job. Because the point is, we want to be happy. We want to be happy. We want to wake up and be happy to go wherever we're going, whether it's to work, to our business, or just going to the beach to relax with the dogs. Happiness is why we're here. That is our primary purpose. Because when we're all happy, everybody's happy. Isn't that the case? Doesn't it rub off when someone's grumpy? You get grumpy or you don't want to be around them. When you're around someone that's happy, you want to be around them because you want to be happy. It's just simple stuff, but it really does matter with money. And so I'm going to get off my little soapbox. I don't know if it's a soapbox or not, but I hope you find this helpful. For me, it was a huge aha. I had no idea. I had no idea what these tests mean. And when I got that result and read it, it really connected all the dots as to why things that bothered me in my past, why something didn't work out. It was just like, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. So with that information, hopefully you will do yours. You will find your way. And if you think this podcast will help someone else, listen, I'm just here to share my experience because sometimes it's just these little tiny nuances that can really make a huge pivoting point in our lives. So with that, I want to thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Share it with your friends if you do. And I will see you next time. And remember, you are your own genie in the bottle. Thanks for listening.
The info in this podcast is straight from our personal experiences. You alone possess the power to manifest your desires. You are the genie in the bottle, awaiting your command. So ask smart questions. We're not licensed financial pros, so be sure to consult with a licensed professional, attorney, or tax consultant.